I'm Melissa Chartrand. I'm joined by Steve Gregory, a musician. Looking forward to chatting with you today.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to be here. Nice to meet you on a gorgeous fall. We have been so lucky with the weather, haven't we?
We sure have.
It's really nice in the middle of November, right outside. We're actually right here on the High Arts campus in front of the Geyer Barn. And I wanted to have so much to talk to you about. I first want to talk to you about you as a musician, and have you always played, and your background and your family and so on?
Sure. I started playing the guitar when I was 14. I really didn't have any much interest in it before then, and then started to listen to records like Kiss and Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and stuff, and I thought to myself, I want to be like those guys, cool with long hair and play really loudly and all that stuff. So I just started playing around, and I learned really quickly. I got, pretty good, pretty fast, because I was just so practiced all the time, every day, and got in a group with some friends, and we had our band. We played the school dances and all that sort of fun stuff, And my parents were really supportive. Music is a huge part of my family. So they were very supportive and always encouraged me to play for them and for relatives who had come over for dinner or whatever.
You were the entertainment.
Yeah. Dad would say, hey, could you brush off a little Bach serenade for us, And, I'd moan and groan, but looking back, it was a terrific experience, and it was really neat to be asked to do that, And then I went off to college, and I studied music at Rhode Island College, and then I ended up at Berklee College of Music, and then I ended up working at a record store for many years, which was a huge educational experience. A lot of musicians, they play a lot of music, but they don't listen to a lot of music because they're busy playing it all the time.
And so that's what you're saying, that's a big part of it, to really listen to it.
It's a huge part of it, and it's amazing that a lot of musicians that I meet, they listen to little pockets of music, but they don't listen to, when you work in a record store, you're listening to music 8 hours a day, every day, and the customers come second. Wait a minute, let me hear end of the song, I'll help you. But it was a huge, I can't even describe what an experience it was, because all that music from Indian music and jazz and classical and pop and reggae and new age and funk and all the different kinds of music, and some of it that you might think yourself, I would never buy a reggae record, let's pretend, You start to like things.
And then did you incorporate that into your playing? And
Absolutely, which has been a drawback, because I've not really gotten really good at one thing.
You're good at lots of things.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but that's been good too, because on the Cape, most of my musician friends, we don't specialize. We learn to play as many different things as possible, because then you can work more.
Right.
For instance, I learned how to play the ukulele a couple years ago, and because I wanted to be able to do something that was fun and different. And it's been a huge, just a terrific experience for me.
Well, and the ukulele, which you think of as not obscure, but just not your most common instrument now, is the thing.
It is.
And let's jump ahead. We'll jump ahead that you actually formed a ukulele band.
Right. I started a class at the Katuitt Center for the Arts 2.5 years ago, I think, maybe 3 years ago. Teaching ukulele, and in a group setting, and it's been incredibly successful all 3 years. Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. Actually, we have a new class starting on Saturday, and I have 12 people signed up.
And is it kids and adults?
It's mostly adults. I'm going to say, I might have a kid from time to time, but I teach at my own private studio. I teach children. And the conservatory, I taught at the conservatory for a couple of years. I taught little 4 and 5 year olds
Sure.
ukulele. So there's plenty of opportunity to learn.
And I think that speaks so much, that from very young, to start them young, but that it's never too late. And so that
That's
you have
right.
adults, that it's important to, if they've always wanted to, or maybe they never thought of it until now, and they'll hear that it's never too late to pick up and have a new experience and what it can do for you. And so let's go back to youth, because it was a big part of your family growing up, and then what you do now and making your life as a musician and where you're at. Why do you find it so critical to have you talk about the experiences that you had and what it did for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's many reasons, and a few jump out at me, and one of them is that learning a musical instrument, playing a musical instrument, is really beneficial to your mind, to your brain development. It makes you smart. To play a musical instrument, I'm an incredibly smart person. I wouldn't be here talking to you.
That's right.
It really
It expands your mind.
It really does. I mean, there's science all over the internet, and there's books written, and it's just a fact that when you play a musical instrument, you're working your whole brain. Only a few other things like physics and a couple other things that I particularly don't care about really work your brain in the same way. And that's just who would argue with that,
Right.
if you're a parent? The other thing is that it connects you to people. When you're a musician, you connect with people, because you're not going to stay in your room all day and play. Some people do, but you're going to get out there and you're going to play with. It connects you with the people that you play with your teacher, with your family, if you do little concerts, or if they play in groups with you, and then you build up this huge community of friends, that have a common interest, and it connects you to them in ways that, I can play music with a 4-year-old in the morning, and then later in the afternoon I'll go to a blues jam and play with a 75-year-old
Right.
guy, and you have exactly the same connection.
Sure, it's those connections, it's the universal language as well. You
Sure.
all speak that language,
Yeah.
no matter what age, and even
Mm-hmm.
if someone doesn't, you're not of the same language, it is that universal language and triggers those memories and thoughts and feelings. And I think it's that expression. You're able to
Yes, yeah.
express yourself through it as
Absolutely.
well, which is so
Artistic
key.
expression.
And so you, speaking of students, this is part of how you're making your life as a musician, in addition to some of the many bands you play in,
Right.
and groups that you have your own business here on
I
the
do.
Cape.
I do. I own Score Music Studios, which I was very fortunate to purchase January of this year. I've been teaching there for 6 or 7 years, but it's been a terrific experience for me. So I teach guitar and ukulele and rock band and ukulele class there, but I also have 7 or 8 teachers that teach other instruments.
And again, all ages.
That's right. Yep.
And you work with the other facilities, as you say, in other cultural organizations, the Conservatory, Cotuit Center for the Arts. You've performed down here in Hyannis on Azleton Park.
Yes,
and,
I have.
We hope to maybe have you at the barn one day.
Great.
So I think that's wonderful. We have so much to talk about in so little time. So I want to just let our viewers know, I want to talk a little briefly about the Cape Musicians Collective, because
Sure.
again, this is what we're talking about, and the impacts and the power that music has. Let's just talk briefly about that.
Sure. Briefly, I wanted to bring a lot of my friends who play music together to do a big concert of some kind. A lot of musicians don't get a chance to play with other musicians, and I invited about 15 different players, a couple of whom I had never even met, many of whom I had never actually played with, to do a concert of all James Brown music, because he's just one of my heroes, and I wanted to do that. And I thought, gee, this would be a cool name for this concert, this group that would be the Cape Musicians Collective, and we would try to pursue other concerts in the future where we would bring together musicians from the Cape that may not have had a chance to play with each other and do something, extraordinary like that. And we did it at the Cultural Center in Dennis, and we offered up all the proceeds to their educational offering that they're working. They have the whole new building and so forth, and their education programs, and it was just fabulous experience. And we're hoping to do a similar thing. 20 guitarists, acoustic guitarists, all playing a concert together. We would all learn the same material. We haven't, this is just in the planning stages, but that's the next sort of big thing on my mind.
Well, that is really awesome. So let's tell our viewers how they can get more information about you and SCORE and ukulele. What's the best way to do that?
SCORE Music Studios, plural, .com. Steve at scoremusicstudios.com. You can look at classes at the Couture Center for the Arts website.
Facebook, we can find you on Facebook.
You can find me on Facebook. You can look up Too Cool, TWO, Too Cool. That's the duet I play in with Eileen Fendler. And she and I have a bunch of different little groups that we do, and where we, like you mentioned, we played at Azleton and so forth and so on. So just type Steve Gregory Cape Cod and I will come up.
That's right, and especially if you're a guitarist, right?
Yes, absolutely, or ukulele, whatever.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for asking.
Yes, wonderful. Well, for Steve Gregory, I'm Melissa Chartrand, wishing you an artful day.